Hey, how's it going, guys? It's me once again, Elijah Chamberlain, and today I am going to be doing a bit of an update video on my SHIPtember. So to anyone who is curious, SHIPtember is this 30-day long building challenge where basically in the month of September you're supposed to build a ship that's 100 studs long. That's basically all the qualifications. As you can see, they have a Flickr group as well as like a Discord server and such that you can join to get more information. But that's basically what it is. I'll link the Flickr group and the Discord down in the description below. But that's basically what I'm building this for. So yeah, basically that is what SHIPtember is. So this is what I'm working on. And you know, you might say this is the beginning of September when this video is being released and your ship is half done. I highly doubt you got all that progress done in 3 days. That's right, I didn't get all this progress done in 3 days. I started mid-August because later this month I will not have that much time to be shipbuilding. So I started earlier. The day I officially started is like the 21st or something. I might have to go look at that. But yeah, nonetheless, this is what I got so far. But yeah, nonetheless, this is what I got going. It is so essentially midway through SHIPtember for me, when it's pretty much the beginning for everyone else. But so far I'm really pleased with how this is turning out. Another thing you might notice when I explained what SHIPtember was is 100 studs. This is not 100 studs. Fortunately, that is 100 studs long. There's this whole back section that it's split in half. Technic fins just split in. This is super heavy. If I tried picking it up with one hand back here, it sags a lot right there, and it'll just pop out and the bricks will break and stuff. So I'm gonna have to be holding it with two hands by the time that it's all finished. So hopefully this is going to stay together for 10 months and be at Brickworld Chicago. As you can see, it's really large. When I hold it right here, it works pretty well. So it's really big, like I think 3 feet long, probably, maybe a little less. We'll see. This is, oh yeah, it is recording. This is me in the mirror, and I'm like 6 feet tall. It's pretty big. But yeah, now that I've gone over, you know, what it is, why I'm doing it, size and stuff, we can get kind of into how I built various parts of the ship. So I guess now we are going to get into exactly how I built this. Initially I started off with this large frame, and this carried out throughout the entire build up until these little prongs up here. So I started off with this little front area up here. I will show some pictures and start narrating kind of how I did that. So as you can see, here's a really close prototype, something that's super similar to the final product that I made while in the process of designing that kind of round section on the front of the ship. So far throughout the build, these prongs have probably taken the most amount of time. I started with getting this curved shape that is accomplished with these bow slopes, these 1x2 and 2x2 bow slopes. That took a lot of work to figure out. And then I moved on to moving forward because I started kind of in the center here. I needed to figure out how I wanted the tips to be. And then I kind of came up with, I wanted to put some greebling in the mock, but at the same time I wanted it to look really sleek. And so that's where things like the lime green syringes and telephones were able to be used. But then we also have like this pretty nice looking overall tiles and bow slopes and such that really pull off a kind of a mixed look for the whole ship. But these pieces right here, these are some of my favorite pieces LEGO produces. They really nicely helped kind of, I guess, bring this end all together so I can make it a little bit smaller. And then I made this little tip. As you can see, that tooth piece really helps kind of add some texture to that end, and these are both identical aside from some of the greebling. So we were making some serious progress at this point. We had the greebles, we had the front, we had that kind of start of the cylindrical area, and then we carried that around on the bottom, and then on that top section of that half I had to add those turrets. Which those looks pretty cool, and I was able to make those work well with the rest of the texture, that round texture that I had going. Next thing I worked on was where I wanted to put these gun placements. So as you can see, this is kind of like a mini scale ship, and so these are ginormous guns. They would be in the real world type thing. And so I used these other kind of curved slopes. That's really what this build consisted of, just circular and curved stuff, but I made those and I got it so there's a 1x2 jumper plate in there that's holding that clip. And that's kind of how I accomplished how I would want that gun in there. Moving on, I did some more of that stuff with the bow slopes, and I did it over here again too. And then this one is a different type of slope. I just added it to add some differentiation and to save some of my slopes for things like over here, because I would not have an infinite amount. I'm running extremely low on them at the moment. Now here I was really stuck for a long time. I eventually decided I wanted to go with wedge plates, or not wedge plates, wedges. So I used these large 2x6 wedges to kind of curve it off and make it so we could get a flat area, but you know, kind of start from a curve and go into that flat zone. And I think that transition worked out really well. I just kind of fixed it off with some more bow slopes, as earlier mentioned, and then I was able to implement some greebles. I was able to use my good piece again that I really liked there into this little area where it kind of all meets together into the main body of the ship. This part is a little bit bland, a little bit, you know, I guess not super technique filled. But I was able to add some of this yellowish color, which you can see throughout the build, kind of. It just carries through. Over here I was able to use another one of my favorite pieces, and those are these hinge pieces to make this kind of belt looking thing that kind of wraps around into this area, because it does get a couple plates kind of inwards once you move into the main body of the ship. Over here it actually got pretty complex, as you can see, to kind of make it so these bow slopes all lined up and it was all proper. There's some weird stuff going on in there, which is not your typical Lego building, but, well, it is to some extent. But yeah, the rest is just kind of slopes and tiles that kind of made it up into this area. It's a little uneven because, I don't know, it's really hard. I don't understand how it doesn't work, but, like, so in reality this should never work, and you never see this in a Lego build, because this is a half stud lower than it is when it ends and stuff, and there's a bunch of stuff that's kind of messed up in the build, but overall it actually looks surprisingly nice, and I personally really like the way it looks from right here going in. The next part I worked on was kind of how I wanted to make this kind of go up on the top panels, and I decided I would just go with pretty simply just slopes. I was able to implement this cool stripe, which looks really nice. That kind of sort of follows through in the main bridge control area. I thought that turned out really nice. Those wedge plates should not work at all, but they do. That stripe kind of carries through along the back out here, as you can see, and there's some air vents, some other random little circular looking things. And there's some pipes and such. This is not as straight as it should be, but those pipes kind of make a little bit of sense, I guess. I don't know, they just looks cool. I really like the way these little kind of sloping looking details turned out. I thought those looked pretty chill in there. So that's another thing I'm pretty proud of. Overall, this ship, I'm super proud of it, what I've been able to do so far. Also, excuse the messy room, it's horrible in here. I build on my bed mostly because my table is just full of stuff, and then there's stuff that isn't even mine that should be in that room because we're redoing that room. But nonetheless, I'm sorry. But yeah, so it's turning out really well so far, and I'm super proud of it. We're exactly halfway through SHIPtember, and I still have half the ship to go. So personally, I think that's perfect because I'm on schedule as I wanted to be. I've kind of been pacing myself in how I want to kind of go about doing a ship like this, and so I found one of the most easy ways to kind of keep it consistent is not use all your best pieces in one spot and kind of pace yourself in how you build. So only build like a small section of this one day, because it takes a long time to figure this stuff out. I mean, it's been 15 days, and you know, this is only like a base plate, like 50 studs worth of area to cover, but it's still taking 15 days, and it's because everything that you do, you kind of have to experiment and re-experiment. And you'll kind of be able to see that in my next video that will have kind of video documentation of how I'm building it. I didn't think of videoing the exact steps I took in the initial process for this first video, but I will be doing that in the second one. But you know, overall, that's just kind of how it goes, you know. But I am super excited at how this is turning out. I can't wait to make a final video showcasing what I've been able to make. I will probably have 3 videos out regarding this, maybe even 4, depending if I do like a technique video or kind of advice for people who are going to be doing SHIPtembers. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below and subscribe if you have not already. I haven't made a video in like a year, but it's one of those things. But yeah, guys, have a wonderful day.